Hi, my dear gorgeous friends. Glad to have you here. Welcome back to another banger project. This is Ahmed from jsstack developers. In this one video, you will learn Vite and reactjs. You will build this project and you will design with Tailwind CSS. You will deploy on the Vercel. Now, please allow me to give you a quick demo. Travigo is the best modern traveling agency landing page you can currently find on the internet. By building this simple, very unique, pretty much UI with Tailwind CSS and React, you can develop any websites, any app which you can imagine. You can become a full stack developer. Even you can put this landing page into your portfolio as a business web app. Okay, dialogues are just words. Let's deep dive into the code. As usual, I just open VSCode with a blank folder, Travigo Travel Agency. Okay, now go to the new terminal and command prompt. Before setup the Vite and reactjs environment, we must have VSCode and NodeJS in our system. If you don't know how to install, now let's follow me step by step. Go to nodejs.org and you will be found this website. Just download current version of NodeJS. Okay, and also install VSCode as per your system requirement. If you are using Mac, Linux, Windows, and install by just clicking there. After installation, if I go back to there in command prompt, I write command npm-v node-v and it is showing me the version of npm package manager and node.js. And also if I hit code-v, I can see the version of code editor with a specific ID and with architecture of my operating system. Okay, now let's set up the Vite and reactjs. Go back to the Google and search vitejs.dev. And Vite.js is a next generation front-end tool, lightweight, and it's fully optimized. You can say it provides you best developer experience to develop the fast web apps. A lot of companies with great names are using Vite.js, okay, with different frameworks. Okay, now just get started with Vite.js and come down. Yeah, these are the commands to install Vite.js. Okay, if you want to install directly with different templates, you can choose this command npm create Vite at latest, our project name, -s template, React View, and some others. Okay, great. But I am starting from scratch, so I'll choose this command. Go back to VS Code, hit, and it will initialize Vite.js. Choose project name. We have already a blank folder, Travigo Travel Agency, and I am also in that folder. So I just write /. Okay, it will set up Vite.js in this folder. Okay, now select the framework reactjs. Okay, now you have to choose reactjs or react typescript. Just choose reactjs. Okay, now npm install. In just seconds it will install your reactjs with Vite. Now hit npm run dev, and yeah, in just seconds localhost is opening, and there we go, we have Vite and reactjs. Wow, that's great. Okay, now go to tailwindcss.com. We are designing this interactive UI with Tailwind CSS, so we need to configure Tailwind CSS in our project. Tailwind CSS is increase your development speed. Okay, just now get started, framework guides, and go to Vite. Now we need to follow some steps. Create your project. Okay, we have already created. Now there install Tailwind CSS. Okay, just copy this command npm install -v Tailwind CSS post CSS and auto prefixer. Okay, go back to there, just close your local host and hit this command. In just some time it will install. Okay, now just copy this command and it will generate two files, tailwind.config.js, post.config.js. Okay, go back to there and it should be installed. Yeah, it has installed, and just hit. As soon as it's generating two files, tailwindconfig.js, postconfig.js. In Vite.js we have another extension CSS, but don't worry, it's also a JS extension. It's scaffolding, so right there CSS. Okay, don't worry. Now go back to there. We need to add some configuration Tailwind paths. Just copy these snippets, go back there and add these ones. Okay, that's great. And now go back to the browser, add some Tailwind directives to your CSS. Okay, and copy these snippets, go back to there. In the source we have index.css, and also paste these ones. At layer base, I want by default margin 0, padding 0. We need to specify a font family. Go back to the Google Fonts and just search Open Sans. Okay, Open Sans, and select the font weight 300, 400, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe I have already, I have already Open Sans, so I am just copy this URL. Go back to VSCode. In there, at top level, just paste this URL, and also copy this font family roles. Now go there and hit paste. Now we need to configure this font family Tailwind CSS, but before I am displaying a message with Tailwind CSS, just write RAFCE, and you can see I am founding these snippets by this command. How it's called that. Okay, we need to install an extension which is ES67 React Redux snippets. You can install this extension if you want. Okay, I highly recommend to install GitHub theme, which provides you best developer experience to develop the web apps. Okay, so also install Tailwind IntelliSense. Tailwind IntelliSense. Great. Go back to there, and in the H1 I am displaying the message, have a good day. Let's go and build this project. Yeah, it should be saved. If I go back there, clear my screen, npm run dev, I think it should be open without any errors. And yeah, Tailwind CSS have compiled. Okay, if I write some class names, text large, text red 500, you can see in just seconds it applied. Go back to VSCode. We need to define a folder structure. I am deleting some raw files, also app.css. In there we have source, add a folder images. Okay, add one more folder components. Add one more folder in the source, which is data. We are defining our REST API for that project, so I define a folder data. You can upload this API into database for the future usage. Okay, great. In the components we have some files, navbar.jsx, refce. Okay, in the components, footer.jsx, refce. Also this time one more file which will be hero.jsx, refce. Okay, in the app.jsx, first call navbar, footer, and also hero component. Okay, if I move back to the browser, I can see navbar, hero, and footer. I want to add one more file in the components which will be index.js. Yeah, I increase the font size. Okay, now maybe it looks better. Yeah, in there I am exporting default as hero component from ./hero.jsx. Also other ones which will be my navbar.jsx, footer.jsx. okay, as convention I can place at the top. Yeah, okay, but why I am defining this file? You can see we have 3 lines. Okay, it's a white code. I don't want to add these lines. I want a single line code because we are working on reactjs. Okay, we need to write complex code in as way which more readable and pretty much to understand. So there, just import with that curly braces this navbar from ./components, also a hero and footer. If I go back to the browser, you can see we have these components, navbar, hero, and footer. So that's beauty of React. We can work on a single line with a one component. Okay, that's great. Don't forget to mention these terminate at the end. Okay, now first we will work on hero.jsx. okay, I am closing all those files. Yeah, it's super slick. Now just Control E. Okay, I am writing Control R. I can select my folder, but we need to select our file in that directory. Just Control E. Okay, hero.jsx. there first I am defining a structure div. Okay, it's a wrapper div. In this div I have a one more div. This will be the container. In there I have a one more div. Okay, this time it's a text div, it's a image div. In this image div I have an image. In this text div I have two h1s with a p tag. Okay, and I'll have a one more div which will be for two buttons. Okay, the type of that button should be button. Add a class name to these buttons. Okay, that's the structure of my hero.jsx component. If I take to you on our actual project, and oh yeah, now you can see we can imagine very easily this is our wrapper, this is our container, this is our text, this is our image content, and it's our div with two buttons. It's two h1s and p tag. So it's a structure of our hero component. Maybe it's pretty much to understand. Okay, great. If you are understanding very pretty much, then hit comment. Yeah, let's go. Okay, that's great. It will appreciate me. Okay, now select these divs and define a class name. Control D, I can select all divs and add a class name. Okay, to these h1s also add a class name, to this p tag also add a class name, and also this image. In this image we should have a source and alternative, and alternative should be dashboard slash image. Okay, that's pretty much. Now we need to define our schema or our API. Go to in the data and add a file travigo data.js. Okay, this time it's JS because we are generating our REST API, so it's a .js. Okay, great. So we need to export every component API. So const hero, and it will send back to us objects. Okay, export. Yeah, instead of this, what we can do export and just as it is, export hero. Okay, great. In there we have a title, and it should be in double quotes. Then again we have a subtitle. Okay, I also have a text, button 1, okay, button 2, and a dashboard image source. I just replaces the data. Okay, you can find this file from my GitHub. Even I'll provide you separate link in description. Okay, great. Now go to the app.jsx. There I am passing this REST data as key props. Okay, so there hero and hero. Okay, so great. Now destructure this hero there, and also the data of this hero component, title, subtitle, and we have btn1, btn2, text, and maybe an image. Yeah, there we have image, btn1, btn2, subtitle, title, and text. Okay, great. If I add this data in this title, there we have subtitle, text, button 1, button 2, and also replace this image and go back to there, and you can see we have the beautiful UI. It's not beautiful, I know it's not beautiful, but we have our text. Okay, great. We can easily use this REST data. Okay, you can push into database and fetch in very simple way. Okay, great. Now we are styling this component. First, in this repetitive, add a flex box with flex color. Okay, the background should be gradient from bottom, from this color to 100 to white. Height should be auto and width should be auto. Okay, if I go back to there and can see this beautiful gradient color. Okay, and to this container div I am defining a container, travigo container. Also add a grid. Item should be start, justify item should be center. Okay, now go to index.css. There add this travigo container custom class. Okay, at apply, width should be 85 viewport, at normal screen, but at Excel screen 1200 maximum pixel, I want width should be 95 VW and margin auto. Okay, now we need to define our screens in there. I am defining my custom screens in Tailwind's config.js. You can use pre-built screens, but I highly recommend to use these screens because it's pretty much to use media queries. Okay, now at Excel screen, maximum width from 1200 pixels. Okay, and at large screen, I want maximum width should be, oh yeah, it should be 991 pixel. Okay, similarly at medium screen, I want 767 pixel, 550, 425. I am wrapping out every screen, extra small and small. Okay, now go back to your terminal, just close once. Okay, this time terminate, clear screen, npm run dev. Basically, we are overriding these screens to Tailwind pre-built screens. So we are reinitializing our server. Okay, great, no error, everything compiling successfully. Now if I go back to hero.jsx, if I add a temporary container there, border black, I want to show you something. You can see in normal screens width is 85 VW, border has applied. If I go to an Excel screen which is 1200 pixel, yeah, it should be 100% and responsive to 1200 pixel maximum. The container is 95. Okay, yeah, it should be this ones. If I move to the 1400, the container 85. So that's the beauty of media queries, how we can use. Okay, great. Now go back to VSCode and define more styles. Okay, in this text content div, add a grid, item center, justify should be center, margin top 36. Okay, margin bottom 16. At medium screens, I want margin top 28. Okay, at medium screen, I want margin bottom 12. Okay, and in this title and subtitle, I have same styles. Text should be 7XL at normal screen, font bold, and at large screen I want text 6XL. Okay, at medium screen I want text 5XLs. Okay, small screen I want text just XLs. Okay, yeah, it should be 4XL. Okay, and an extra small screen I want text 3XL. Okay, and text should be black, filter, apply a filter, drop shadow should be large. If I go back to the browser, I can see these beautiful texts. Okay, and the justify item should be center. There we need to specify justify item center. If I go back and boom, there we go, we have a great UI. Okay, and go to this text P, text should be base my5 and text should be center. Okay, at small screen text should be small. Okay, great. Now to these buttons I want flex, item center, and justify should be center. Maybe I need to make it side by side. Okay, it will be shows us a very great experience to develop our this project. Okay, and yeah, of how beautiful we have, very great. Yeah, now you can see side by side everything live updates. Gap should be 11. Okay, but at small screen I want gap just 3. Wow, beautiful. Now define some classes for these buttons. The button solid, and maybe it should be emerald. Yeah, and also define a button light or white. As you can say, it should be light. Yeah, it's a white button. Yeah, so it's light. And this okay, light. Good. Close this ones. Also these tabs, these we are working on there. Yeah, just this. Okay, now we need to define these custom classes in index.css. We are using these classes our whole web app. Okay, so define styles for buttons. There we have container, and I highly recommend to add comments in your code. Whenever you open this code, you can easily understand. Now let's apply some style to this button. Background gradient to bottom from emerald 500 to green 500. Shadow large and shadow emerald 500 or 4. Okay, rounded full. Text large at normal screen. On small screen, text should be small. Padding X 9, padding Y 1.5. Transition all, duration 200. On active state, I want scale 9. Transform scale 9. That's beauty. Okay. Text white. Wow, great. Now just copy these ones and write there text button light. Okay, and from white 500 to slate 100. White not 500, from white to slate 100. And the shadow also slate 100. Looking great. And the text black. Wow, beautiful. And also it has some transitions. Yeah, great. And if I go back to there, yeah, I can see they have flexbox on small screen. Go to hero.jsx, add this screen. At small screen, flex column, small screen, width full. Okay, you can see it changes. And if I go to index.css, on small screen, the button width 480. Okay, also apply this there and terminate. That's great. Oh wow, beautiful. Now apply some style to this image. Add a flexbox, item center, justify center, margin bottom 11. Okay. On large screen, I can say that on normal screen, the height 85. Okay, VH, and width will be full, object fit fill. Okay. But on large screen, height 75 VH. On medium screen, the height will be 57 VH. On very small screen, height 35 VH. Okay, it's looking too much great. but on small screen object contain. That's great. Now add a drop shadow large, not black, it should be emerald, and it's a customized class. Okay, go to index.css and there add a comment, this one and this one. Now add this one line of code and drop shadow will apply into background. You can see we have beautiful gradient. Okay, that's great. If I go to desktop mode, tablet mode, I can see it's fully responsive. That's pretty much okay. Now let's move to navbar.jsx to develop this component. Okay, great. And in the navbar, okay, control E, navbar.jsx, there we have a header, a nav, and nav link in which we have our logo, but we need to install an external dependency. Close your terminal, okay, and just write npm install react router DOM, and it will take some time. Okay, it's installed. Now if I can now let's import navlink from react router DOM. Don't forget to add this href too, and also a class name. In this navlink we have an image with a source, an alternative, logo slash image. There we have also a class name. Okay, import this logo from $/image/logo.png, and now there we have our logo, which is logo, and it should be in brackets, curly brackets. Let's restart our server, npm run dev, and okay, we got an error. It's so cool, guys. I like these errors personally, and it's error about the browser router. Okay, we need to import browser router in the main.jsx. Don't worry. Okay, go to main.jsx. First import browser router from react router DOM. If I write as it is, I can see suggestions of browser router. Wrap up this app component with a browser router. If I hit save, and there we go, we have our logo with nav link. Okay, great. Now add an unordered list. In this unordered list we have li. In this li we have a nav link. Okay, add to hash. Now in this nav link we have our home, explore, other links. It's an API, so I am removing all those links. I don't want to repeat my code. Okay, also add a class name tier, and ul li, there we have a button, type button. Okay, to this button write some text, join us. I hit save, I can see my links and a button. Okay, we can just copy and it's repetition of code, but I don't want to repeat my code. Okay, great. So if I go Travigo data, I have a navlinks API. Okay, we are looping through these navlinks. In the navbar.jsx, just call these navlinks. But before, in the app.jsx, we need to import our navlinks. Also import navlinks as a key and props. Okay, go to navbar.jsx. There in the top, this structure nav links. Now here just add curly brackets navlinks.map, and also don't forget to mention this operator. If exists, then show, otherwise display errors. Well, and one other parameter is index. Okay, you can call id or index. Okay, this li should have a key which is index. To this nav link we have well.link, and there we go, we have beautiful links. Okay, now let's style this one by one. Okay, and go to this header. Okay, flex, item center, justify center. Okay, and width auto, height auto. To this nav add a flex box, and I think it should be go to on large screen. I just put like that. Okay, you can see live changing how Navbar is developed. Okay, flex item should be center. Okay, wait, justify between, and add a width which is Travigo container. Travigo container. You know already we have a specific class which is Travigo container in the index.css. Okay, great. And in this nav link which is logo, add a flex box, item center, width should be 22, height should be 9, object fill, yeah, it should be filled. Beautiful. Now to these nav links, text should be large. Okay, and text slate 900. Okay, beautiful. And now go to these ULs, add some classes, flex item center. Okay, on large screen I want hidden, but on normal screen I want flex item center. Okay, to this button add a predefined class, button emerald. Great. And the padding of that button 7, text should be base, and I think py should be 1. If I go back to there and we have button, yeah, py 1.5. okay, do not need to remove. Great. Add a gap to this order list, gap should be 7. Oh wow, great. Okay, and also go to the header, apply some positions, absolute, top 0, left 0, and right 0. Beautiful. Now just top 5, and if I go to there, it's not 5, it's maybe 6, 7, something 8. Yeah, it's 7. Okay, now Navbar has developed. If I go to small screen, you can see we have beautiful logo at right. Okay, now go back to our actual web app. You can see we have beautiful menu button. Okay, and go there, add another list, li, also a button, type should be button, and also add a class name. In this button we have an image which is apply a source, menu, alternative, menu slash svg. Okay, and to this button add some classes which is object cover, and go back to there. We need to add position of that button, source of that button, menu.svg. Oh wow, we have a beautiful menu button at left corner. Okay, great. Now let's style this button. This button adds a flex item center. Okay, cool. Justify content center. Great. And also apply some shadow, and instead of this button, to this image add a shadow, small filter. Great. Now to this order list, I want this menu button on normal screen hidden. So I am writing hidden on normal screen, but I want to display this button on large screens. Okay, at large screen, flex item center, and there we go, we have our button. Okay, great. Now we need to add some transitions to that button. Okay, transition all, duration 200. When this button will active, then scale 90. If I click to that button, it's, oh my god, that's beauty. Okay, great. Now go there, we have this beautiful slick pop-up menu. Okay, so add one more component, or you can loop through at the bottom, but I am adding one more component. Okay, which is popup menu.jsx. Okay, you can easily understand what's this pop-up menu, or AFCE, and let's call this pop-up menu there. Now in this pop-up menu, I want this API. Okay, so again I am passing this destructured navlinks API to this pop-up menu. Okay, that's great. Go to this pop-up menu and destructure again these links, nav links. Okay, now here add a nav. Okay, also we have an on the list, then nav links if exist, then loop through, otherwise display error val and I, and great. In there we have li, then we have again a nav link, and I should be nav link. Okay, suggestion is not displaying, don't worry. Import this nav link from react.dom. Okay, and there we have a little bit error. Okay, we need to add this to our href hash. Okay, and there val.link, also it's have a key which is I. You can see we have our pop-up menu, all those nav links. Now let's style this pop-up menu. Add a class name in the nav and also in the UL. In this UL, add a flexbox item center. Okay, flex call, yeah, it's call, and it should be gap 3. Okay, now to this nav, apply some positions, fixed top 14 and right 14. Okay, great. Add a background color white, background opacity 70, opacity 100, z index this ones. Okay, great. Now backdrop filter, and it should be backdrop filter. Yeah, after backdrop filter we can add backdrop blur. Okay, medium. Now rounded should be large, width 44, height auto, py 5, px 6, and it's pretty much. And their item should be start. Add one more ally, also a button. Type should be button. Add a class name, button light. Okay, and join us with auto on small screen of that button. Okay, auto. And I think we need to just add some shadow to this slide button. The shadow is 300 or 200. Yes, 200. It's great. And okay, 100 is better than 200. Yeah, but to that button I want shadow 300. Okay, also rounded large. It's looking great. Okay, if I click, and there we go, beautiful. Now I want this pop-up menu on large screen, but on normal screen this pop-up menu should be hidden. Okay, so first hidden on normal screen, large flex, item center, justify center. Now let's make this pop-up fully functional. Okay, I want to add a state in there, and this will be fully functional. Okay, go to navbar.js. Here const, we have pop-up state, set pop-up state. Okay, great. Use state is a callback function in reactjs. Okay, now add a function on trigger pop-up. Okay, on trigger pop-up, this will be a factor function, and set pop-up state. So what we are doing there, when I hit refresh, the initial state is false, but when I click, it's updating the state to true. Okay, so there initial state false, but when pop-up state is clicked, it should be true. Okay, so this on trigger pop-up function, you can say that it's muted, because when someone is click, then it's opening our pop-up menu. When someone is click, is closing our pop-up menu. So that's mean what is mutant in JavaScript. Okay, it makes sense. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, now come back to there. On click event, I want to trigger this pop-up. Okay, and the cursor should be pointer. Okay, if I console log this state there, and I should be got true false on click events. Okay, the initial state is false. When someone is click, state is updating to true. Okay, so that is the mutant JavaScript. I again understanding you what is mutant in JavaScript. It's very important to learn. Okay, great. Now just comment down and come back to pop-up menu. Add this pop-up state. Okay, go to pop-up menu and destructure this state. Okay, and in the nav we are just styling dynamic CSS for this pop-up menu. Okay, this will be in the backticks. Okay, and backticks is the topmost key in the below of escape key. Okay, great, and just hit paste. Okay, so if pop-up state exists in this pop-up menu, I want to click, but it will show only on large screens. On large screen, I want to show my pop-up menu, but when someone click, I also want no show pop-up. Okay, great. Go to index.css, copy this class, and I have already defined this CSS. Okay, show pop-up. Okay, and also no show pop-up. On show pop-up, opacity 1, visibility visible, transform skew 0, translate y 0. No show pop-up, opacity 0, visibility will be hidden, transform skew 3 degree, translate y minus 30 pixels. I hit save. When I click, it gone and come back. So it's opening and closing, but I want some transition there. Okay, and go to CSS, just there, transition should be on transform. Okay, and duration 300, and when I click, oh my god, that's great, but I want when it's closed, I want also some durations. Okay, so go there, when it's will close, it should be go to 30 pixels, and when I hit click, wow, that's great. Yeah, that's great, but I think it should be 10. Yeah, also add some skewing to 5 degree. Okay, 3. Yeah, it's 0. Okay, great, and that's pretty much. Now our pop-up menu has ready. Okay, our next component is this sweet memories. Okay, so I am closing all those raw files which we no need, and just go to our disk explorer. In the components, add a one more file, memory, just memory.jsx, RAFCE, and we have this memory. Okay, great. Control B, and this explorer will be gone. Okay, so it's also an component we need to import in the index.js, which is file in the components. Import this memories.jsx /memory.jsx. Okay, and also here we have a memory component. If I go to app.jsx, just after below hero, I call this memory component, and it's just pasting, and it's a single line code. That's beauty. Okay, I already told you before. Okay, now if I go to travigo.data.js, there we have a memory rest data. Okay, so we are destructuring this memory REST API data here. Destructure this memory, also pass as a component props. Okay, and copy to the memory.jsx, and destructure here. If I console log this memory, I can see my data. In the console, I have some objects, and boom, there we go, I have my all data. So that's why we are destructuring our data. You can make a context API and pass this data to whole as a provider, but it's a very beginner project, so I am passing by props, okay, and I am just destructuring data. Now let's first understand the structure of this memories component. Okay, there we have an wrapper div, then we have a container. Inside this container we have a text content, this explorer content, and this image content. Okay, this is the structure of our component. And go back to there and just add a wrapper div. Okay, also add a container div. In this container div we have two divs. Okay, this one is text content and this one is image content. In this image content div we have an image. Okay, and in this text content div we have two h1 and p tag. Just after that we have our explorer experience div. Okay, great. And if I go to Travigo data, we need to destructure this title, subtitle, text, image, and experience. Now let's first destructure these ones: title, text, subtitle, image, and other one is maybe experience. Yeah, experience. Okay, great. So console log, just comment down. We just destructured our objects. Okay, and let's style one by one. First, add a source to this image, an alternative memory / image. Add a class name also. To this divs, add a class names. Okay, to these h1s add class names, also titles. Okay, and subtitle. To this p tag, class name with text. Okay, great. If I go back to there, I can see my image and my text. This more experienced array of objects we will map later. Just comment down. To this wrapper div, add a class relative. I want position relative every time of wrapper div. my16, margin from top at bottom 16. Mostly people recommend padding, but I highly recommend to margins. Okay, now on medium screen the margin bottom should be 7. Okay, and margin top will be same. To this container div, add a special class which is Travigo container. If you remember that, we have already defined in our index.css Travigo container. Okay, and the text should be same. Okay, add a flexbox, item should be centered. And this time why I am adding a flexbox, but in this I'll just add a grid. If I take to you in the hero.jsx, in this Travigo container I add a grid box, but there I am adding a flexbox due to the structure of that component. We want structure like that, image on left and text on right. Okay, so that's fine, but there we want text top, image bottom. It's there we can use our grid. Okay, Basically, if we have the content like that, okay, and this is our container type divs, we can use grid box. Okay, but if in some cases we have content like that, we are using flexbox. Okay, that's convention and that's the way to code. Now your focus should be at there. Okay, that's pretty much. Now item center and justify between gap 16, but on Excel screen gap should be 9. Okay, great. And also on large screens I want flex column, but I want image bottom, so flex column will be on reverse. That's great. Yeah, I know. Okay, first go to text div and design these text. Okay, first of all, in this h1 we have same h1. Okay, so text will be 5 pixel on large screen, text 4 pixel on medium screen, text 3 pixel, font bold, text slate 900, and also filter and drop shadow large. You can define same classes like Travigo container, Travigo title, Travigo text in index.css, but I just add like that. Okay, great. To this text I want text base. Okay, margin from top and bottom should be 5. On small screen I want text small. Okay, that's pretty much. Now to this div add a flex box, and instead we can use grid. Okay, but in this div we are using flex box because this image could make an overflow when I decrease the height. It could make an overflow, therefore I am using flexbox for that image, but for this text content I am using grid box. Okay, so apply a grid, item center width full, maximum width 2 pixel. Okay, and on large screen text should be centered. It should be centered, not clipped. Okay, that's great. Maybe it's looking just like that. Yeah, oh, that's pretty much. Oh wow. Okay, now go to this image div, add a flex, item center justify start on normal screens, but on large screen I want justify center width full, but maximum width should be medium. Okay, to this image class name width auto, height 55 vs. Okay, and object fill. That's pretty much. Okay, once in some cases due to height it could make some overflows, you can add a flex box to this image, but I am not adding. Okay, in some screens it could make overflows. Okay, that's pretty much. Maybe our component has ready and is fully responsive for every devices. You can see it's fully responsive for every devices. Okay, that's pretty much. If I go to our actual component, we just left one thing, which is this experience cards. Okay, now let's do that and move back to our actual work. Okay, now this experience is an API. It's a looping API. So this div is for grid because it could be a grid, so we are using this div as a wrapper grid. In this div, add a curly brackets experience or dot map. What's meant by if it exists in the database or in API, then map our data, otherwise display some error. Okay, that's pretty much. Okay, add a div. To this div, add a key index. Okay, I hit save. I am not showing something, but don't worry. In this div, we have h1. Okay, val dot number. We have a p which is val dot title. Okay, val dot title, and this type. Now add a class name. It's up to you. You can make a flexbox, but if you follow me, then let's make grid box. Okay, first of all, add a grid there. Grid item center. Yeah, it's not text clip. Item should be center. Grid columns 3 on normal screen, but on medium screens, yeah, maybe it's 3. Yeah, okay, I just forgot it, don't worry. 3. On normal screen, just gap 7, but on medium screen, I want gap 3, like that. Okay, it makes sense, right? Now background should be gradient to bottom. Okay, and it's background, not GB. Background should be gradient to bottom from emerald 500 to green 300. It should be green. Why my text editor is not showing me suggestion right? But don't worry. Okay, and also rounded large, height auto, width auto. We already applied a grid column, so height and width should be auto. Okay, that's great. Otherwise it could be wide to use this experience section as like that. Okay, and flex item center, justify center, flex column, text slate 900, add globally. Okay, text should be center. Again, it's writing clip. Okay, py should be 7, but on large screen I want padding 5. Instead of large screen, maybe if we make to the Excel screens, Excel screen padding should be 5, and px on normal screen will 5. Just comment down this ones. Okay, this experience is an REST API. It's an array of objects. If I go back to there, you can see it's array of objects. Okay, so let me back. We need to loop through this experience cards. If experience exists, then map, otherwise display errors, and remove this memory like that. Okay, it's have val and index. Okay, and now loop through with a div. Is this div have a key index? Okay, in this div have h1, which will be val dot number. Just after that we have a p tag, val dot title. If I hit save, it's just like that. Now let's style this experience card. Okay, first style this card divs. The background gradient from bottom emerald 300 to green 300, add a shadow large, shadow Imravan 200. Beautiful. Also add a flex box, justify center flex column. Okay, py 7, px 5. Okay, on medium screen padding should be 4. Okay, and it should be on Excel screen, I think. Yeah, it should be on Excel screen. Okay, great. To this h1 add a class name text3 Excel. Okay, on Excel screen text to Excel. On small screen text will be Excel. Okay, Excel, and it will be font high bold. Okay, to this title text will be large on normal screen, but on Excel screen text will be base. Okay, on small screen text will be small, on extra small screen text will be extra small, font medium. Okay, great. And go to this, add a grid box, item center, grid columns 3, gap 7, but on very extra large screen I want gap 3. Okay, and that's beautiful. It's looking too much beautiful. If I go back to there, you can see these cars just like that. Okay, great, but we need to add a color, some rounded properties. Okay, and padding there should be 5. It's rounded large, text slate 900, filter. Okay, and also add a drop shadow large. That makes sense, right? But I want on hover cursor pointer and some transitions. First cursor will be pointer. On hover I want transform scale 15105. Okay, and transition transform duration 500. When I hover, oh wow, that's beautiful. It's too much duration. It should be 4 and transition all. That's pretty much. If I 110, oh wow, that's great, but 105 is better. Okay, pretty much. Now this component has developed. Okay, it's just like that, maybe better than that. Okay, if I go to very extra large, oh boom, we have the beautiful component. So just after that we have another component which is explore the beauty of Word. It's also an API like array of objects and much more. Okay, so close these files, also this. Okay, close all files this time, and just go to our Explorer, make a new component called explore.jsx, RAFCE. Okay, also in the index.js add one more component /explore. Okay, explore.jsx. Don't forget to mention this extension, otherwise on uploading the Vercel you will be found a great errors. Okay, now go to app.jsx. Yeah, Control E, it will give you all suggestions. Reopen file, add an Explorer component. Okay, if I go to Travigo data, it's also an API. Yeah, we have places API. This is Explorer. Okay, great. So copy this places API, add a custom title, okay, and just pass these props. Okay, go there and in the data just call places API. So mention this title there. Okay, great. Go to explore.jsx, destructure this title and places API. It should be places API. Yeah. Okay, great. Maybe I no need to console log this time data. Okay, great. And what's the structure of this component? This is a wrapper in which we have a container. If I change the color, this is text title, and then we have a grid. In this grid we have a different components like that. Okay, that makes sense. Wow. Let's back to our explorer.jsx. Add a wrapper div. In this div we have a container div. Okay, and then we have a title div. Just after that title we have a grid. Okay, this title have h1, and let's add classes to all these divs. Also this h1 and a classes. Now replace the title object. Okay, and in this grid div let's look through this places API. If it exists, then map this API well index. Okay, great. There we have a div with a unique key index, and remove this explorer. Okay, great. If I remove this our outline annotation, I can see my explorer title. If I go back Travigo data, in the places API we have val.placeImage, val.location, val.distance. So first in there we have a div. Okay, and if I go there, it's two component. This is a one component and this is an other component. In there we have a wrapper div. Okay, so this is our wrapper div there. Okay, this is our wrapper div. Here we have image content, here we have text content, and we are applying flexbox there. Okay, that makes sense. Great. Just after image div, okay, source val.placeImage, alternative val.placesLocation. Okay, that makes sense, I know. And class name. To this div also add a class name, also this div. Okay, great. Now if I hit save, I can see all places images. Even if I call a div with class name h1, which will be val.location, also p tag, which is val.distance. Wow, great. Okay, now let's style this component. Now the wrapper div position must be relative. Don't forget to add position relative in the wrapper div. my7 on medium screen, m should be 3 and margin top should be 3, not m. Okay, great. Add a Travigo container. It's applied. Okay, your focus must be on that side, there, also there. Okay, your focus must be there. Okay, now add flexbox in this title div. Justify center text center, margin bottom 11, and on medium screen margin bottom 7. Okay, that's pretty much. Now to this h1, the text 5 pixel, on large screen text 4 pixel, on medium screen text 3 pixel, on small screen text 2 pixel, on extra small screen text pixels. Okay, and font bold, filter drop shadow large. That's pretty much. Text slate 900. Okay, great. Now we are designing this component. Okay, so first of all, go to this image, add a flexbox item center. Okay, also justify content center, not center, just make that like that. Okay, go add a width will be 20, height should be 20. On small screen the width 16, height 16, also on small screen. Rounded large, filter drop shadow large. Okay, that's pretty much. And now go to this text in the h1, add a text large. On small screen text should be small. Hit save. Great. And also font bold. To this p tag add a class name which will be font normal. Text will be small on large screen. Okay, and on normal screen text will be base. Okay, on small screen text should be axis, extra small. Okay, great, that's pretty much. Now add a flexbox to this text div, flex item start. Okay, and flex column, text slate 900. It should be slate, not sky. Yeah, nice. Now add a flexbox to this div, flex item center. Okay, gap will be 5. You can see pretty much gap 5. Okay, also add some on small screen the gap will be 3. Okay, and rounded large. Okay, if I go there, on hover I want rounded large and some background color. Okay, on hover the background color will be emerald 300. Okay, transition all, duration 300, cursor pointer, it should be cursor pointer CP, but okay, cursor pointer. And also on hover transform scale 105. If I hit, that's pretty nice. Now add a grid box there, grid item center, grid columns 4 on normal screens, but on large screen I want grid columns 3. Okay, on medium screen I want grid columns 2. Okay, gap will be 5. That's pretty much. Let's go, guys. It's just completed. Okay, that's pretty much. Okay, that's beautiful. We have just completed our explore the beauty of word component. Okay, you can see it's pretty much. That's great. If I go back to where, it's just like a sim. Okay, it's also sim. So just after that we have another component, which is our this component. Okay, and it should be scroll now, but this time it's not scrolling. Don't worry. Yeah, in keyboard it's scrolling. Okay, so go back to our explorer. In there, add a one more component, which is brands, or can say that pricing. Okay, so I write an advertise advertise.jsx because it's an advertise of brands. Simple. Yeah, advertise RFCE, and there we have an advertise component. Go to index.js and simple, just copy and paste this advertise.jsx, also advertise. Okay, go to app.jsx. just after this explorer we have advertise component. Okay, and if I go to Travigo data.js, we have a brands API. This ones we have brands. Okay, so just copy this array of objects key points and go to the advertise.jsx instead in the app.jsx. Okay, just call this brands and paste there as a key props. Okay, go to advertise.jsx, destructure this brands. Okay, great. So there we have a structure like that. So this is the wrapper div. In this div we have multiple images like that. Okay, and there we are defining our scroller. This scroll will help to scroll these images. Okay, so go there and make a div. In this div we have a looping brands array of objects, map, which will be val and I, and that's great. Add an image tag like that. That's simple. Okay, and remove this advertise from there. Val. Okay, add a source, val dot icon source. Add an alternative, brands slash icon. You can say image or icon, it's up to you. Add a class name. Okay, if I hit save, I'll go back there. I found my these images. So this image, first width 44, height auto, object width fill. On Excel screen the width 38. Okay, and on last screen the width 32. Okay, on hover I want scale 105 to that images like that. Add some transitions, all, duration 300, cursor pointer, filter, drop shadow, medium. You can see we have beautiful images. Okay, now there, first of all, margin Y should be 16. On last screen margin Y 7. Okay, width 9 by 12, 75%. On last screen the width will be 85 VW. Okay, margin auto, add a flex item center can see, and justify between. Okay, it's giving me some overflow like that, but I want there. Okay, on Excel screen I want gap 7 because when I push back to normal screens, okay, on normal screens we have already some gap. Okay, therefore on Excel screen I want some gap between them. Okay, so overflow X scroll, and scroll smooth. Okay, that's pretty much. We can scroll our images. It's just like a slider on mobile devices. That's pretty much. Okay, great. And we need to add a custom class, scroll hidden. It's not exist in Tailwind CSS. I don't know. If you know, then let me know that in comments. Okay, close this Explorer, go to index.css there, add and clause there, scroll hidden. But don't worry, display none, it will work for us. Important. If I hit and actually there we are hiding this advertise div. Okay, but I want to hide my scroll, so I will be right WebKit scroll bar should be hidden, and now I can see my friends. Beautiful. Okay, and this is fully responsive for every devices. You can see it's pretty much great. Now go to components.js. Just after that we have our pricing component. Okay, in the components add a file pricings.jsx rfce. Okay, just close all other files, also advertise. Okay, go to index.js and call this pricing component there. Okay, in the app.jsx also call our pricing component there. Okay, great. If I go there, I can see my pricing component. That's pretty much. Now go to pricings.jsx. Now let's first understand structure of that component. Go to desktop mode and there. Look, we have there first our wrapper div. Okay, in this div we have a container. Okay, in this container we have a text div in which we have a button div with 2 buttons. Okay, and this is our card div. This is also our card div. Okay, great. In top of wrapper we have another great, and in this price card we have this divs. Okay, this is a one component, this is a one component, and this is a one component. So I know it's complex, but it's very simple to develop. Okay, now let's get started without wasting any time. Okay, there. First add a div. Now this is container. There we have our title and also price card grids. In this title we have h1 and a p tag. Okay, p tag. Just after that we have a div with 2 buttons. Type of that button will be button. Okay, also there we have another button with type buttons. Okay, that's pretty much to understand. Now in this div we have a special function called price card. Okay, let's move to Explorer, add a file which will be price card.jsx or AFCE, and let's call this price card there. We are looping these price cards in a grid. Okay, that's pretty much. If I go there, I can see my price card with some title, blah blah. Okay, now let's move back to Travigo data.js. If I come to down, there we have pricing API. Okay, there we have title, text, btn 1, 2, and some plans. These plans have both different specifications. Okay, now just we need to invoke this API in the app.jsx, sends with props to pricings.jsx there. Let's destructure this API. This API have a title, text, btn1, btn2, and if I go back to Travigo data, then we have plans. Okay, and this plans is a array of 2 objects with different component. Okay, pretty much. Go back to pricings. Okay, now Control D on all that divs. At one time we are specifying classes, class name. In this h1, okay, add a class name, it's a title. In this p tag, add a class name, there we have text, and there btn1, there btn2. Okay, later on we'll loop through our plans in price cards, but first let's design this title and buttons. Now in the wrapper div, first my16 and position relative. To this div, add a class Travigo container. You already know that we have predefined class Travigo container, and container has applied. Okay, great. Now in this div, add a grid item center, justify items center, margin bottom 11, on medium screen margin bottom 7, text center, okay, and gap 2. You can see we have this beautiful. Okay, I am just applying the style to this text. H1 title, you already know that. What is that? Text 5 as well. On normal screen, large screen I want 4, medium screen I want 3, on small screen 2 XL, and extra small screen XL, font bold, filter, drop shadow, and somehow this color. It's very beautiful. Okay, to this p tag, text should be XL on normal screen, but on large screen I want text small, text gray 900. Okay, that's pretty much. Now to this div, first add an offset width and offset shadow. In Tailwind CSS we have a utility called ring 1, and the ring color slate 100. Okay, you can see we have a pretty much ring color. Now rounded full, py 1.5, px 2, and add a flex box item center, justify between, gap 5, my 5, shadow medium, and shadow slate 200. You can see we have this beautiful div with 2 buttons. Okay, there. Now let's style these pretty much buttons. Okay, to these buttons add a class name button emulates. Also to that button add a class name button ligst. Can see we have these beautiful buttons. Okay, great. But on small screen I don't want a width, so I want width auto. Okay, and but also on small screen I want width auto, and that's pretty much. Okay, cool. If I go there, if I push to that one, it's not on up downs. That's great. Now let's add some shadow to this button and also a background color. The shadow of that button will be slate 300. I think, yeah, it's 300 or 200. Okay, I am not clearly watching due to my eyesight. Yeah, 200, and add a background slate 100. Now we can see beautiful button. Okay, if I click that, it's clicking beautiful button. Okay, and we need to give some gap instead of GPA. Yes, it's a gap 5. Instead of 5, it should be 3. And if I go back to there, I can see a fully cursor gap, and maybe it's 5. Yeah, that's pretty much great. Now let's define these price cards. So there we have plans for these price cards. We are looping through this price card with our plans. Plans, if exist in our API or database, then map val index. Okay, I already told you why I am writing this question mark. Okay, the purpose is that I want to say that if there is any exceptional error on the server during the upload this website, it will be handled by default and show the data. If data not exist, it will show us some errors. So that's mean the exceptions. Okay, great. Now call this price card. Okay, key to this price card will be I, and val to val. Can say that a single plan, not plans. Can say that a single plan. Okay, there. Go to price card.jsx, destructure this plan. If I console log, okay, and go to my terminal, can clearly see objects. We have our plans. Okay, hit refresh and boom, great. But here we have a unique key prop error. It's a warning, not error, but we should be. And where is this error in pricings? We have I. Okay, and maybe this is in the advertise. Now go to advertise.jsx. Oh, we forgot to add this key props. Okay, I. Now this error or warning will be gone, and we console has cleared. We are showing data. Okay, now go to price card.jsx there. So what the structure of that price card? If I repeat again, this is price card, a unique wrapper div. In there we have this div, in there we have this div. Okay, so these are single components. Okay, great. Now go back to our code and let's do that. I put side by side. Now let's see what's this is our car div. Inside that div we have a one more div. Okay, this first div is for that. If I annotate, actually I want to clearly describe you a great fundamental there. So this div is just for that, and this div is for this component. We are defining one more div which will be for this component. Okay, great. And that's div. Okay, so clear screen. In the first div we have a div, two divs. Okay, it's a flexbox in which positions, in which flexbox will be between, and this is an actual single component, can say single div. Okay, great. In the first top order div we have our image and our text content. Okay, and there we have also our text content. Okay, in that div we are looping through this custom offers. Okay, so this time just relax and comment down. We do this later. You can make a single component just like chord list or plan list, but I am calling there. Okay, that's great. Now in this div add an image, in that div add h1, in that div add a p tag, in this div add an h1. Okay, if I go back to Travigo data, there we have plans. In these plans we have plan dot plan icon, title, text, plan type, plan content. Okay, so first let's define plan icon. So plan, okay, we are destructuring this plan. Every single plan we are destructuring all the objects. Plan icon, title, text, it should be title, text, and if I go there we have plan type, plan list or plan content, just like that. Okay, so this plan content is an object of arrays. We have a multiple checklist, so we'll loop through later. Okay, so in there we have our plan icon. Now alt plan icon slash image, add a class name there. Also in this h1 add a title, in this p tag add text. Okay, the class name must specify in both h1 p tag also there, but we define it. Okay, in this class name we have plan type, so add a plan type, that's type. Okay, great. Now just select all this, control D, there we have a class. That's beautiful. Okay, so now in that first div padding 5, rounded large, add background slate 50 and opacity of this background is 5, add a ring 1. Okay, also add ring slate 100, shadow medium, shadow color also slate 200. Okay, if I go back to there, and there we go, we have some errors. Go to console, and okay, yeah, I know what's that error. You must be figure out we have this console.log which is not defined, so therefore it's memory leakage error. Okay, just comment down until, wow, in just seconds it's come back. It refresh again. Yeah, now we are styling this div. Okay, so flex item center justify between. Great. Also add a flex box there, add a gap 5. Okay, and here I am selecting both these ones, grid item center. Okay, and also define this whole class name to there, grid item center. Okay, that's pretty much. To this flag icon, the width 14, height 14. On last screen I want height 12. On last screen the width will be 12, and object fit cover on every screen. Okay, that's pretty much. Now just define the title there, text gray 900, font semi bold, text large, filter, and drop shadow. Why it's making mistakes? Yeah, drop shadow. Okay, this time, sorry, drop shadow large. Okay, and also on last screen I want text base. On medium screen text should be small. That's beautiful. Now to this text should be slate 900. Okay, font normal, text small on every screen, but on very large screen text extra small. Okay, that's pretty much. Now just style this plant type. Okay, I just copying the style of this h1 from there to there and come back to there. Just replace the semi bold to bold. You can see we have beautiful card section. Okay, now go back there, we have these types, beautiful. Okay, now let's define this card content, or can say that plan content, plan list, or plan checklists. Okay, great. If I go to Travigo data.js, you can see I already defined in the API uncheck box and the checkbox checklist. Okay, so it's too much pretty. Now in this card, just uncomment this div. We have their plan content. It's an array of objects. Okay, so if exist in our database or API, whatever, well, and there we have our like that. Okay, add a div. Now the key div would be I. Okay, in there we have one more div. Yeah, so add a div. It should be small. Add a div. To the first div, add an image with a source val dot, and there we have icon. Okay, alternative, and icon slash svg. It's an svg. Add a class name. Okay, to this checklist, it's a title, so also add a class name to this ones. Okay, there well dot title. If I go back to there, okay, checklists are not showing maybe it's text. Yes, it's text. So move back to there and change the name. Wow, we have the beautiful checklist there. Okay, now let's style this div. To the first div, add a grid. Okay, item center gap 3 px5. I hit save. It's just like that. Add a class name there. Just clear the screen. Okay, that's pretty much. To this class name, just add a flex, item center justify start, and gap will be 5. Oh wow, that's too much. Great. Okay, now to this both divs, add a grid. Okay, just like that. Add a grid. It's grid and item center. Okay, great. To this image, I'll defining large width 5. On last screen, the height 5. Yes. Okay. And by default, the width of that maybe is 16 or maybe 17. Yeah, 21. Okay, 21. It's a controversy. Don't worry. Okay. Now go to this text. First of all, font should be normal. Okay, text large, text gray, 900, filter drop shadow large. But on last screen, I want text base. Okay, it looks too much pretty, just like that, but we need to add a divider there and also this beautiful button. Now let's move back to the at this line 20, this add a div. This div is a divider. Okay, so the height of this divider is 0.1 VH. Okay, background color will be slate 200 MY5. That's pretty much. We just developed our card, and I think there should be a gap in this cards. And if I go to the top to card div, and there I think we are make a mistake, therefore we have no gap in pricings. Let's see what's okay. Okay, so grid item center, grid columns 2, but on medium screen grid columns 1. Width will be full. Maximum width on normal screen or Excel screen will be 5, but on medium screen the maximum width will be medium. Okay, gap 9, but on large screen the gap will be 5. If I hit save, so it's showing just like that. Okay, and maybe we are missing something like margin. Yeah, I think we are missing margin auto. Okay, let's add a margin auto. Oh wow, that's beautiful. Our card component has completed almost. Okay, that's correct. Now just define the buttons inside just after this div. Add a div. There we have a button. Type of that button will be button. Add a class name button enrolled. Okay, and if I go to Travigo data, there we have a button text. So let's destructure now button text there, and it's in the plan. Yes, it's in the plans, so we can destructure there button text. Okay, right there button text. Yes, these are the buttons. So in there, add a grid, item center, justify item should be centered, my5 or 3. Yeah, that's pretty much okay. And maybe we need to define some margin top will be 7. Okay, now to this button text should be base, and let's go. We have our premium cards. Okay, great. You can make this call functional by adding more cards just using the hook state. If you want this card functional, let me know in comment. As soon as I will make a video on this pricing cards. Okay, so now let's move to another, and let's build this component as soon as. Okay, go back to there and remove all these files. Go to components and write a file name which will be banner.jsx or AFCE, and go to index.components file. There we have a banner. Just after that, pricings / banner.jsx. okay, in this banner, yeah, also in the app.jsx banner component. If I go to Travigo data.js, just after pricings I have an banner API. Okay, so this words I like very much. API, I feel very free feel by listening this word. Maybe you also. Okay, so go to Travigo data, yes, there, and just also pass this props there. Okay, if I go to banner.jsx, now destructure this banner API there. It's not array of objects, but these are some type of objects. Okay, great. This banner API is a very basic structure. Okay, and if I write, this is our div. In there we have image, then text content, h1, p, and button. So this is the basic structure. Okay, let's do this very easily. Go to there, first add a div. In this div we have two divs. Other one is h1, a p, and button. Now this div add an image. Okay, so select all these divs, add a class name. Also to this div have a source, an alternative tag, and class name. Okay, to this h1 class name, to this p class name, to this button type will be button, add a class name. Okay, that's the structure of our component. I'm destructing this banner API there. Title, text, btn text, image, source. Okay, in there add an image source, the title banner slash API. Okay, add a class name, height 35, VH, width full, rounded large. To this div, relative flex item center. If I go back to there, I can see very beautiful image. Okay, now to this div, add an absolute position. Okay, and where is my text? Okay, don't worry, add a relative position in there. Okay, the top position 24, left position will be 12, and I cannot see my text. Oh my god, where? Okay, we are not calling this text. Yeah, I just forget. Title, you can see it's just fixed, and text, I was thinking my text has moved away in another web app. Yeah, okay, this is our button. And now let's style first this div. Okay, width should be full. When I apply the width, it's giving me an overflow. Okay, don't worry, add a flex box, but now I am adding a border to show you what's the main purpose of flex box in every divs. Okay, now you can check we have an overflow. Now add a flex box to there, flex column. Okay, items start, and on medium screen items center. Okay, on very medium screen justify content center. Okay, on medium screen left 0, can see the overflow has left. Okay, and on medium screen the top 14. Okay, great. To this H1, text 3XL, font bold, font bold, text slate 900, drop shadow large, and it will be filter. Great. Now to this p tag, text base, on small screen text will be small. Okay, to this button py 1.5, px 5, background gradient. You might be wondering why I am writing the style to these buttons. This buttons is very different than others. You can see we have a very different button. Okay, great. And from gray 900 to slate 800, beautiful color. Okay, text slate 300. Okay, text small, rounded full, and add a shadow large, the shadow slate 900. Okay, at this time I want to add a transition, not translate, add a transition all, duration 300. Okay, duration 300, and on active state I want transform scale, which will be 110. If I click, it pushes to top. Very beautiful. Okay, that's great. Now to the first div, we need to add a maximum width. If I go there, it's taking too much width. I don't want. Okay, so first of all, width full by default, but maximum width 5 pixel. Okay, margin left auto, margin right auto, and margin top 0, margin bottom 3. On large Excel screen, I want width 95 VW and rounded large. Okay, we have beautiful section there. Okay, that's pretty much. Now remove this border from there, and it's showing something, this one, due to left position. Don't worry. Okay, and remove the border from there. Now you can see it's already fully responsive for every devices. In every device it's fully responsive. Okay, flex on there. Just after this component, first we will develop this footer, then this newsletter. Okay, so go back to our code editor. In there, add a component footer. Maybe we have already, yes, we have already, which is we already imported at the bottom. Okay, to this footer, if I go there, can see it's an wrapper there. In this wrapper we have some maximum width with container, we have a grid box, we have these ones. Okay, that's pretty much. Now let's develop this. And okay, now first let me show you travigo.data.js footer API. There we have 3 array of objects: titles, links, social links. But in the links we have again 3 array of objects. Every array of objects have own links. Okay, that's pretty much. Now go to the footer. First destructure this footer API. Go to app.js and footer API. Okay, pass there. Okay, go to footer.jsx, also destructure there. Destructure all objects of this API: titles, links, and the other one is, which will be travigo.data.js social links. Okay, yeah, like that, and it should be okay. So travigo.data.js. okay, in this titles first array we have title. In this links array we have link. In this social links we have just icons. Okay, now there add a div. Okay, in this div we have 2 divs. First one is grid box, other one is copyright, and I think the first div should be footer. Okay, yeah, it's a footer, so we can use this footer there. Add a class name also in both divs. Okay, in this grid box div I have 2 APIs to work. First one is titles dot map. Add a question mark there. Okay, val and index. Okay, add a div with h1 There we have val.title, add a key, and don't forget to add this key, otherwise you will get a warning. I already told you before. Okay, just after that, now map these links. Links.map val and index. I can say that's a specific link or list. Okay, great. In there we have an ordered list. Add a key I. In this unordered list we have allies. Okay, ally key I. Okay, and Travigo data.js. In there we have another array of objects, so we need to map this list there. Okay, now list dot map val I. Okay, great. And there we have ally, add a key to there. In this ally val dot link. Okay, and don't forget to mention the question mark there. It's just for our safety. Okay, great. Hit save, go back there, we can see our all data. Let's go. We are working on our real-time APIs, guys. Maybe this project could be a very important for you. Okay, you learned a lot of fundamentals, you learned a lot of techniques, CSS, JSX, reactjs, and much more. Okay, great. Now to this filter, add a background gradient bottom from emerald and 400 to green 300. Okay, padding top 24, padding bottom 7. I can see this beautiful background gradient color. Now add a grid box, item center, grid columns 3, justify item center. Okay, and that's great. To this div, okay, again I am adding a grid box. I told you before I have data like that, so I can use grid box every time. Okay, if you have a div, then image, you can use flexbox or div, it's your own choice. Okay, now so in this div, add a grid, item center, and justify item centers. Okay, now to this h1, text Excel, on last screen text base uppercase, font semi bold. You can see we have like that, beautiful. Okay, now go this unordered list, add a class name there. Again there we have a grid, item center, justify content center, and instead of justify content, in grid we have justify item centers and the gap 1, top and bottom, the gap 1. Okay, to this list add a class name which will be font medium, text small, on small screen text very small, axis, just like that, beautiful. Now it's almost done. I think it's almost done. Okay, great. Now to this div, add a divider div. Just after that we have a copyright div. In this copyright div I have a one more div, Okay, and p tag, that's great. And to this p tag, just define the copyright. I am writing the hard coded copyright. You can put into an API, but don't worry. Okay, add a superscript sub. Okay, add a class name to their text base font bold. Okay, and just write copy terminates. I hit save. You can see superscript is very cool to use. Okay, now just after that, copyright all reserved rights 2022, and again add a span tag jsstack developers. Yeah, that's my company logo. I very excited to launch my own brand very soon. Font semi bold. Okay, that's great. And come back to there. Also define a class name. Okay, there we have social links. So okay, it's not cool. Yeah, add a social links if exist, then map well and index. There we have our social links. Okay, in there just add an image tag, add a source. There we have a mistake. Oh yeah, footer is not taught. To this image add a key I. To this source well.icon add an alternative social icons. To this class name width 5 height 5. Okay, great. And to this div flex item center gap 3, and this our beautiful links. Okay, now to this div add a class name which will be flex item center. You can see justify between. Okay, px7 on medium screen, px0 on medium screen gap 5. Okay, and on medium screen I want flex column reverse and flex column reverse. That's great. I think in this p tag we should be add a class which is text small. On medium screen I want text center. Yeah, that's beautiful. Now add a divider there. The height of this divider every time 0.1 vh viewport height. Background will be black and opacity of this background 30. Okay, my7 on medium screen my5. Okay, now let's define some width to this copyright divs. Width 7 by 12. Okay, which is almost maybe 58%. On last screen I want width 95 with W margin auto. It should be auto. Margin top 9. Okay, that's pretty much great. Now our footer component has designed. You can see we have same footer component like that. We just left a one thing which is this one. Okay, so let's define this also. And go to the components folder, add a file newsletter.jsx or AFCE. Close all other files which we no need. Okay, just call this function there. Basically it's a function. You can say that it's a component. In React language we say it's a component, but basically it's a function. Newsletter.jsx, also their newsletter. Okay, so in the app.jsx, don't forget to call newsletter. Okay, so for this newsletter I not created yet any API. Okay, because this newsletter have just some text with this input, so I feel I could not do that. Okay, but let's design this newsletter by ons. And if I go to newsletter, I have a structure like that. In there we have these divs. In there we have an input and a button there. So this is the structure of our this newsletter component. Okay, let's develop this. First, add a wrapper div. In this wrapper div we have a flexbox container div. Then add one more div. Okay, in the first div we have h1, which is get in touch with us. Okay, also p tag with this text. Okay, and go to this div, and instead of this div I think it should be form. Okay, in this form we have an input, placeholder, email address, and it should be capital, name, email, type, email, and class name. Okay, again there we have a button. To this button we have a type button and add a class name. Okay, in this button I have text submit. That's the structure of our newsletter component. So let's style just like these divs. Add a class name. In this, add also a class name. In this first div, padding 5, background white but opacity 60, ring 1, ring color slate, or instead of slate I think it's emerald 200. Yes, shadow medium, and shadow emerald 300, rounded large. Okay, maximum width 5 pixel, width full, margin left auto, margin right auto, margin top 0, margin bottom default. Okay, and on Excel screen the width will be 95 VW, and relative. Okay, great. Now there just add a flexbox, flex item center, justify between, on last screen flex column, on last screen gap 7. Okay, if I go there I can see my component there. So now style this text content, grid item center, on small screen text center. Okay, to this h1 text 4 XL, and on medium screen text 3 XL, on small screen text 2 XL. Filter drop shadow large, and maybe it's done, but add some font weight, which is font bold. Yeah, great. And I think on small screen the text should be small, but if I go there, okay, it's like that. Just add a color, text slate 900. Beautiful. Go to this p tag, text should be base at normal screen, small text small, on extra small screen text extra small. Okay, font mediums. So that's great. Now let's style this form. Flex, item center, justify content center, and position relative. Okay, in this input, let's first add py to px5, ring 1, and ring color slate 300. Okay, flex, item center, shadow medium, shadow slate 200. Okay, and width will be, I think it should be 9 by 12, just like that. If I go to small screens, yes, width is 9 by 12. Okay, it's same, it's not same, it's too much. And there we have width. Okay, there we have width. Let me check from my code. There we have width 96. Yes, 96. Okay, but on last screen the width of this input is 85 VW. Okay, text base rounded full, position relative. Okay, and placeholder text for slate, text slate 500. When someone is focused, the color should be changed. On focus, the outline will be Imraland 4 or 500. Now just adds this style to this button. I just copy from previous code. It's not complicated to develop this button. Text base px left and right 5, py2, text white, background gradient from emerald to green 500, rounded right full, transition all, duration 200, active, absolute, right 0, shadow large, and button just like that. Okay, and maybe this component has done. If I go back, oh yeah, we need to add some position to this component. Okay, again I mentioned must apply this style to this beautiful great button. Okay, actually I am very tired during the development of this newsletter, so I just copy paste some code. Okay, now let's move to there, and margin top, instead of margin top just add a position top 12. Oh wow, we have this beautiful. Okay, let's go guys, we have this beautiful our newsletter. Now guys, our web app has almost done. We just left two things, sticky navbar and this scroll bar. Okay, So go to the index.css, add this style there. Okay, and the scroll bar is redesigned. As I mentioned, I'll provide you link in description. You can free feel to copy. Okay, and also I'm showing all code you can write. I think the width should be 1.5. Yeah, it's beautiful. Now it's too much cool. Okay, great. And now go back to the navbar.js, close all these files that we don't need. Okay, there add a use state at top, nav state, also set nav state. Okay, use state initial false. I have already told you set nav state is our feature state which we are updating in future. This nav state is our previous state or initial state. Okay, initial nav state is false. I want to on scroll, I want set nav state true. So how we can do that? Let's define a function const on nav scroll is a fat arrow function which is ECMA16 or ECMAScript 16. Okay, there we have some conditions. If window dot scroll y greater than 180, I want to true set nav state. Okay, else set nav state to false. Okay, now we are rendering there and use effect. Okay, use effect is just a callback function in which we have a dependency array which is looping through in every time when page refreshes. Okay, so that's the use effect. A little bit I try to describe. Okay, great. Now window dot add event listener, click. Okay, on nav scroll. Okay, this time event listener has added. You can see screen has blank. It says that after some time you need to remove this nav state, and it says that use effect is not defined also. Okay, great. Just refresh. Now I am returning a callback function. We can use callback react.state, but there I am using an predefined callback function. Okay, so window dot remove event listener scroll. Okay, on nav scroll, and there must be scroll, not click. Yes. Now we are applying some conditions. So we need to make this header class name dynamic. Okay, and just remove this code, add a nav default clause. Okay, and also I'm writing some code like if nav state exists, then nav sticky, otherwise nav default. Okay, and now I have already defined this class in index.css. Okay, you can free feel, just stop video and write these classes and also copy code. Now look, nav default is just like our previous code. flex item center, justify center, fix top 8, large top 5, left 0, right 0, transition all, duration, blah blah blah. But in nav sticky we have background white /80, clip padding, backdrop filter, blur, background opacity, a flex box, height 9, position fixed, top 0, left 0, right 0, opacity 100, z-index 100, shadow small, and slate also small. So just save, and you can see if I hit refresh, and boom, we have sticky navbar at the top. How it's cool that we just completed in just an hours. This is our beautiful web page. Okay, how it's cool that, guys, how it's cool that. And I think I should be and hover on these cards and hover state. Okay, go to pricings, price card, or yes, go to price card. On hover state I want scale, which is 110, yeah, 15, duration, let's apply 300, transition all, and cursor pointer. I also want to change the color of this list. Okay, now on hover this text list, the text color should be emerald, 400 or 500, which is suitable. 500. Now if I let's go guys, you can see we have this beautiful effect. Okay, now let's deploy our app on the Vercel. Okay, so go back to there. First we need to initialize a GitHub repository on the GitHub. Okay, so git init git add dot, okay, and now git commit -m and just write final build. Okay, and also we need to add a GitHub remote link there. So I'm going to my GitHub, okay, and there, this is my GitHub account. So there we have Travigo travel and JS stack. Okay, I just write like that. Okay, add some description. This is Travigo travel. Okay, I am making the public for you guys. Okay, and just create repository. Just copy this link, go back to there and hit paste. Okay, now git push add a stream -u and origin. First let's check in which this branch is that. Git branch, it's on branch master, and there we have branch main. It could be controversy, but let's check if it works. Okay, git just cls first, git push -u origin master. It should be push data to the GitHub. Okay, writing. It will take some time. Oh my god, that's goodness. It's just push our data to the server. I just added some documentation to this GitHub repository. You can free check my this GitHub. I'll provide you link in description. Okay, and please you must be give and store. Follow me on GitHub also and create your pin. Okay, great. Now let's move to dashboard.vercel. Okay, adds new project. Okay, and let's import Travigo travel jsstack. Import Travigo travel jsstack. We have no any other environment variables, so let's deploy. In sometimes it will deploy. Smash the bell icon for latest updates, and you can see in just seconds it is uploaded on the Vercel. I'm going to dashboard, and there we go. We have our Travigo travel agency .vercel.app. Let's go, guys. We have a beautiful project on the internet. It's too much pretty. Okay, you can see it's fully responsive for every device. I go to iPhone 12 Pro, it's fully responsive. Okay, this is also working fine. So guys, make a like, comment, share with your friends. Thank you very much. This time I will be right back here soon in the next video.
Game over.